I have just received an extremely concerning email from Amazon, and it turns out that I am not alone and that many other sellers are also receiving these emails. So let me talk you through what is happening, as it appears that Amazon's onslaught of trying to make selling on Amazon as difficult as possible for Amazon sellers continues. So what is happening and what can you do about it? So you can see here, this is my inbox. Once a month, Amazon will email you about your capacity limits. Now, your capacity limits are extremely important, as if you breach your capacity limits, you are unable to send new inventory to Amazon. So a lot of sellers get caught out by this. I've got away with it for many, many years, but actually this month was the first month I got caught out by it because Amazon have started massively shrinking the capacity limits that they are giving sellers. So let me show you a very quick example. In my most recent email, they have reduced my capacity limit for standard size products, which is all I sell with this particular account, to 455 cubic feet, which, you know, is a decent amount of space. But the month before that, I had 760, and a month before that, I had 842. So that is a substantial drop. And I didn't know if it was just me, maybe it was just my account or just one account. So I checked all of my accounts and all of them have seen similar drops. There's also someone on the Amazon forums posting the same question. Has anyone else seen a big reduction in FBA capacity for August? My space has dropped by 40% when it should be increasing. So I made a post on the FBA Elite forums, which are completely free, by the way, fbaelite.com. Sign up, completely free. You can access all of this for free. As anyone else noticed a big drop in the Amazon capacity limits for August, I received the usual monthly emails yesterday, and across all of my accounts, they've reduced capacity by about 50%. This is despite no change in sales. As I scroll down, we've got right back here saying, yes, I have. My capacity levels are well down. Someone saying I've got no limits, which I'm going to show you or explain in a moment. And then someone else saying mine's reduced too. There's dropped from 470 to 260 by, so, close to 50%, another massive drop. And this is a problem. Imagine you're selling on Amazon, you've got inventory at Amazon, you're planning Q4 as we're heading into Christmas. You start ordering new stock, your order's ready, it's sat in China, and you can't create a shipping plan because you're at your capacity limits. So I'm going to talk you through some of the things you can do to try and get around this, and also explain how the capacity limits work as well. So I've got lots of tabs open here. So as I click through, it's going to remind me what I need to tell you guys about. So firstly, just a quick note here. Let me blow this up a bit for you guys. If you are a new seller, make sure you watch the entirety of this video, not just click away after I read this. New professional selling accounts active in FBA for less than 39 weeks don't receive FBA capacity limits. This allows you to establish your FBA sales record without limits so that we can determine how much capacity your FBA business needs as you grow. So that is good news for new sellers. If you're new to Amazon FBA, you're just launching your first products, don't worry. You've got 39 weeks from when you start selling before you have to worry about capacity limits. But that time goes very, very quickly. And as you approach that from maybe 3 months out, you need to start planning inventory around it as well. So I'd recommend watching this video and understanding how capacity limits work so that if you do get to the point where you're going to breach them, you know what to do about it. The other thing as well is someone did mention that Amazon are just doing this so they can charge us overage fees. So for basically excess storage fees. Amazon have actually done away with this. So important, effective July 1st, 2024, we will no longer be charging FBA inventory storage overage fees in the United States, Europe, United Kingdom, and Canada stores. So why are Amazon doing this? Well, there are two reasons. Number one, they're trying to stop their fulfillment centers getting overwhelmed. But number two, they know if they reduce capacity for everyone, then people are going to start bidding for storage. So Amazon actually have a bidding mechanism in place to secure more storage. So if they reduce the limits, people know they need more storage, people are going to bid for it. So they might not be charging overage fees, but they're certainly going to be making a lot of money from people bidding to get the storage instead. And then the final one here, and I'm going to come back to this in a moment once I've shown you an example of what this actually looks like within Seller Central. So you can access your capacity limits, or the capacity monitor, should I say, by going to menu, going to inventory, and then going to dashboard. You can also see it by going to shipments as well. But if you go to dashboard, click in here and then go to inventory, inventory performance, and then at the bottom, which you guys can't quite see yet, you have capacity monitor. Let me bring that up so you guys can see. There we go. So it hangs about at the bottom of the page. Now this is on the inventory performance page, which is your inventory performance index. this has an impact on how much capacity you are allowed. And if you're above 400, usually you're okay. But I do question the algorithm on this sometimes because there's 4 factors that come into this. You've got your excess inventory, your sell-through, stranded inventory, and in-stock inventory. And you can see here, green tick, green tick, green tick, green tick, and I'm right in the middle there for the sell-through rate as well. But somehow, my IPI went down 8 points last week, which isn't overly helpful. But I don't want to get into that in too much details, but just be aware that your IPI score does impact your capacity limits. What I want to look at is the capacity monitor. And there are 2 parts to this. You have your on-hand inventory. That is the inventory already at Amazon. So I've got 625 units, and I'm using 205 cubic feet of storage space. And then we have open shipments. So Amazon include the shipping plans that you've created, how much space they're estimating that shipment is going to use in your capacity limit. And if you don't have enough available space when you're trying to create that shipment, Amazon will not allow you to create that shipment. So for me, this was a big issue, and I got away with it with a little hack I'm going to tell you about in a moment. All of a sudden, like I said at the beginning, my capacity limits from July, which was 760, were dropping down to 450 in August. So if we come back to this, you can see I'm currently using 703, which would have been absolutely fine in July. But with the August drop, there was no way I was going to be able to create the shipping plan I needed for my most recent shipment. So the little hack I used for that, because I found out with 1 day to go, as you can see here, look, they emailed me on the 30th of July, 1 day before the August drops. I quickly created my shipping plan before those limits drop. So that is one little hack you can do. You can create your shipping plan in advance if needs be. Just be aware, if your shipping plan is open for more than 90 days, I believe, Amazon will automatically close it, but they should still receive the inventory if they have closed it. So don't panic if they do, but don't create it early unless you absolutely need to. So that is one little hack you can use. Now, to be completely honest, as much as this is frustrating, Amazon have done this. If I just hide the webcam a second, you can see that Amazon do at all times project this for a few months into the future. So we've got August, September, and October. So if I had been paying more attention to this, I would have been aware that the capacity limits were dropping off substantially in August. But I think, honestly, having had no issues for many, many years, that I just wasn't expecting such a large drop. So that's what caught me out, but thankfully I've been able to get away with it. So if this happens to you, you can create the shipments early. The other option is you can try and get rid of some of your on-hand inventory. So you can maybe run a sale, or if there's any old inventory or stranded inventory that you don't need, you can create a removal order. The other option is asking your supplier to delay the shipment until you get to a month where you've got more capacity. But if, like this, you're not going to have more capacity in the future months, you're going to need to bid on additional capacity, which we're going to break down in a moment. But the most important takeaway at this stage is to monitor this. Keep an eye on this every single month to see what your projected capacity is in the future. Because if you keep an eye on this, you can plan those shipments accordingly. And if you don't have enough capacity, you can apply for more capacity. Now, to apply for more capacity, this is what we do. Down here, we go to the capacity manager. There is no direct link from the menu. You have to go via the capacity monitor and then to the capacity manager. And when you click on that, that will bring you through to this page. And this recaps what you can see in the capacity monitor, but you also now have a brand new button called Create New Request. And this is where we can request additional inventory for future months. The biggest problem with this for me is that you can't request additional capacity for the current month. So as we rolled over from July to August, I can only request capacity in September and October. So if you click this button here and we go through, you'll see what I mean. At the moment, we can choose, do we want more capacity in September or October? And if I want to create a shipping plan now in August, there's not really much I can do about it other than trying to get rid of some inventory. So it's quite a frustrating position to be in if you haven't been paying attention, like I wasn't, to those capacity limits being reduced. So I just want to talk you through a quick help file now, because although this form is really simple, a lot of people aren't sure how much capacity to bid for. So let me go back to the help file that I want to show you guys. Where is it? Here we go here. Let me just read through a few of the key pieces of information, and then I'm going to show you what that looks like in the real world. If you have FBA capacity limits, but you could use more capacity for products that you expect to be popular with customers, you can request an increase to your capacity limits. Fine, we understand that. A bit of a chunk of text here. We will assess fulfillment center capacity regularly. every 3 to 4 days and grant request as capacity is available. Our criteria for granting requests is completely objective, i.e., we grant space to the people that bid the most. The capacity granted will be available to you for the entire period specified. The additional capacity may also be available for you up to 1 month before the requested period. So if I've requested additional capacity in September, then I may be able to create shipping plans in August using that additional capacity. This allows you to create shipments to send inventory to Amazon Fulfillment Center so that it can be available in our network in the period of which the limit increase was granted. Man, why do they make things so difficult to understand? So let me just come down a bit further. How much does this cost? So all sellers who are granted additional capacity and who generate sales using that capacity will get performance credits. So you're going to bid a certain amount for the space you want. You're going to bid on a per cubic foot basis. Performance credits are earned at a rate of 15p for every pound of sales that you generate using the additional capacity. I'm going to explain this, so don't worry, I'm going to show you a real world example. To calculate sales that were generated using additional capacity, we consider sales on units that were shipped between the start and end date of the period. I'm not going to read the rest of that. And it says prorated by the percentage of your total limit that the additional capacity represents. Now that sounds super complicated, but it's not. Say you had 1,000 cubic feet of storage and you decided to apply for another 500 cubic feet of storage, giving you a total of 1,500 cubic feet of storage. That 500 you applied for is now 33% of your overall storage. So that is what they mean by prorated by the percentage of your total limit that the additional capacity represents. So if in a particular month you made £10,000 of sales, 33% of that would be £3,333. And then 15p of every pound of sales will then be credited as a performance credit to help offset the performance fee. And I know that probably still isn't overly clear. So let's scroll down to the actual example from Amazon here. Let's say you receive an additional FBA capacity limit of 1,000 cubic feet and that you're approved for an additional 500 cubic feet, resulting in a total limit of 1,500 cubic feet. This means that 1/3 of your total comes from your request. So 500 divided by 1,500. Therefore, 1/3 of your sales will qualify for performance credits. Now, let's say that your total sales for the period are $105,000. That means you have qualified sales of 35,000, which is basically 1/3 of 105,000. Again, not the best example. So you would get a performance credit of 5,250 to offset the reservation fees that you've been bidding for that particular auction. So in my case, I've applied for additional capacity. So what I did is I looked at my capacity monitor. I looked at what was on hand. So I've got 205 cubic feet of storage on hand at the moment. I estimated how much of that I'm going to sell through in August. So I need this additional space in September. So I'm probably going to sell about 400 units in August. So that's going to be about 2/3 of that. So roughly, there's going to be about 70 cubic feet of storage left from my on-hand inventory. So I've got 70 cubic feet, and then my open shipment is 497. So say 570 roughly. Let's round it up to 600 to be safe. So I want 600 cubic feet of storage, and I am projected to have about 450. So I applied for an extra 150 cubic feet of storage. So if we go here for the month of September, I want standard size storage. This tells you the date at which you can keep applying for these. So you might submit a request and then it gets rejected. And then you can submit a new request at a higher bid. So you start low and work your way up. And I did my own calculations. I requested 150 feet. I think I've got a screenshot here of my actual form that I did. Not that one. This one here, yes. So I requested 150 cubic feet. I bid £1, so my cost is going to be £150. Now, how did I know to bid £1? Well, I don't. It was more of a calculation, how much was I willing to risk? And actually, this £1 has been rejected, so I've submitted a new bid at £2. But what I did is I was bidding for 150 cubic feet out of a total of 600, right? So I'm going to have 450, but I want another 150. So 150 of 600 is 25%. If I'm expecting to sell 400 units in August or September, either way, I'm expecting to do 400 units in either of those months, and around about £25 per unit on average. That is £10,000 of sales I'm expecting to make. Now that 150 cubic feet of storage is 25% of my overall storage. So if I take 25% of that figure, this is what is available towards my performance credit, which is £2,500 of sales. And if you remember, Amazon let you have 15p of every pound. So if I times that by 0.15, £375. If I bid £375 and the amount I spend on additional capacity is 375 or less, it's not going to cost me any money to get this space. So what I did then is divide that by 150, which is how much cubic feet of storage I am bidding for. And that says as long as I bid £2.50 or below per cubic feet, this won't cost me any money, providing I hit my sales targets in those months. If I don't, then I will be paying this fee regardless. But so far, I bid £1 and it got rejected, or it hasn't been accepted yet. So I bid £2 and I'm waiting to see if that gets accepted. If not, I'll bid £2.50 and see. And if not, I'll go as high as I feel I need to. I mean, if it's a month that I absolutely need to create a shipping plan, I might bid £5 or £10 because ultimately it's more important for me to stay in stock than it is to save, I know it's not a few pound, but save a few £100 by not bidding for the capacity that I need. So this is a big change, and it is something that will be a problem, especially if you're like me and you haven't been paying attention to your capacity limits for the past few months. But if you're a new seller, this isn't something you need to worry about right now, but it's certainly something you need to be aware of as we go forward. And if we just go to this final screenshot here, you can see this was the request that I had in place at £1 per cubic feet, and I requested 150 cubic feet of volume. And yeah, and that didn't get rejected. So I've submitted a new one for £2 per cubic feet, and hopefully that will get accepted, but we will see. Finally, if you're not sure whether you have enough capacity or not for this shipment that you want to create, the simplest idea is to start creating a shipping plan. So if you go to the menu, go to inventory and go to shipments. There we go, inventory and then shipments. And then once it goes through, go to shipments and go send to Amazon. That will create a new shipping plan. Don't worry, you can void this and delete this. You don't have to follow through. And when you go to the products here, when you start entering the amount of inventory you're going to send in, if you don't have enough space, Amazon will tell you. So at the moment, we know very clearly, I don't have any capacity. You know, I'm using 702 feet of 455. I am well over limits, which means I can't create a new shipping plan. So if I try and create even the smallest of shipments here, one box, I should, let's see. Yeah, there we go. You can't, there we go. This product, scroll over. This product exceeds your current FBA capacity limit for standard size storage. So this is the biggest issue. If you use up all of your capacity limits, you cannot create new shipping plans. It's not about them charging you fines. The issue is you can't create new shipping plans. So this is why it's so important to stay on top of this. Now, if you're starting your own Amazon FBA business, but you're struggling to decide which product to go with, I've got a video now which is going to talk you through the exact criteria that I use to assess whether a product has a good chance of making money on Amazon. I'm going to pop up that video now and I'll see you guys over there.